A devastating revelation. Black, can the fragile young girl survive the truth? In the ever-twisting world of Days of Our Lives, the past never stays buried for long, and secrets have a way of surfacing when we least expect them. For young Rachel Black, the storm that has been brewing for months is about to break wide open. And this time, the truth could be more than she can handle. Rachel, played by Alice Halsey, is no stranger to trauma. In fact, her short life has been marked by one emotional upheaval after another. From kidnappings and lies to violence and death, Rachel's world has been anything but stable. And now, Days of Our Lives is preparing for a major reveal, one so powerful and personal it could leave her emotionally shattered. This isn't just another plot twist. This is the kind of deep, painful truth that redefines a person's identity. And for a girl like Rachel, who's already walking a thin emotional line, it may be too much to bear. A childhood marked by chaos and loss. To understand why this revelation will be so devastating, we must first revisit what Rachel has already been through. Not long ago, she experienced the shocking kidnapping of Ava Vitali, an incident that rattled the entire town. Then came the mysterious disappearance of Rachel Blake, a beloved family figure whose vanishing act sent Rachel spiraling. The child barely had time to catch her breath before another life-altering event struck, the shooting of her uncle, E.J. DiMera. And most recently, Salem was rocked by the death of John Black, Rachel's grandfather and a pillar of her extended family. Each one of these events is enough to break even the strongest adult. For Rachel, a young girl with a delicate emotional makeup, these traumas have accumulated like cracks in a dam. One more jolt and the flood may finally come. The mistaken blame. Johnny and the gun on top of everything else. Rachel has been haunted by the belief that her cousin Johnny DiMera, played by Carson Boatman, was the one who shot EJ. She witnessed a confrontation. Johnny holding a gun, emotions boiling over, and she connected the dots in the only way a frightened child could. She was wrong, of course, but the damage was done. Even if Johnny didn't pull the trigger, Rachel saw the gun, saw the rage, and absorbed the fear. It was real to her, and in her world, that's all that matters. Her young mind has been shaped by threats, tension, and mistrust. She's in a fragile state. Everyone can see it. And unfortunately, Days spoilers suggest she's about to face another trauma, one rooted in her earliest days. The bond with Sarah Horton, a mother's love that never faded. In recent episodes, Days of Our Lives has been gently setting the stage for a heartbreaking revelation. Through a series of warm, emotionally rich scenes, Rachel has been bonding with Sarah Horton Kyriakis, played by Lindsay Godfrey. To a casual viewer, these moments may seem simple. But longtime fans know the truth. Sarah once raised Rachel as her own daughter. During a pivotal conversation in the June 26th episode, Sarah opens up about the depth of her connection to Rachel. She confesses that no matter how much time has passed, she still sees Rachel as her child. For a brief period during Rachel's infancy, Sarah believed she was raising her own daughter, Mackenzie "Mickey" Horton. But everything changed in the blink of an eye. The baby swap that changed everything. In one of the most shocking storylines in Days history, Xander Kyriakis, Paul Telfer, orchestrated a baby swap, trading Sarah's deceased infant for the living child of Brady Black, Eric Martsolf, and Kristen DiMera, Stacey Hayduk. Sarah unknowingly raised Rachel for the first year of her life, pouring her love and soul into a child she believed was her own. When the truth was revealed, it tore her apart. She had to hand over the baby she adored, the child she considered her daughter, to her biological parents. It was a decision that broke hearts across Salem, and now, years later, those wounds are about to be reopened. Because Rachel doesn't know. The truth. Rachel was never told. According to Brady, he never told Rachel the truth about her first year of life. He chose to shield her from the heartbreaking complexity of what happened. But that time of protection is quickly running out. With new custody battles looming between Xander and Sarah, possibly revisiting the past and digging up old legal documents and testimony, the baby swap may become public knowledge once again. And when it does, Rachel will finally learn the truth. She was taken from the woman who loved and raised her, lied to by nearly every adult in her life, shuffled between families, manipulated like a pawn, and fed a version of reality that was only half true. The breaking point. A child left in the dark. For a child already struggling with anxiety, confusion, and emotional instability, this truth could be devastating. Rachel may come to question everything she thought she knew about herself, her parents, her childhood, her place in the world. She could lash out feeling betrayed and abandoned. She may even regress emotionally or act out in ways that alarm those around her. And that's exactly what Day's spoilers suggest is coming. In the coming weeks, viewers will witness Rachel's world shatter. According to early reports, she may begin to reel like never before, confused, furious, heartbroken, and completely lost. This isn't just another drama beat. It's the unraveling of a child's understanding of who she is. Can Rachel survive the truth? Rachel's journey has never been easy, and the path ahead may be the hardest yet. The show has painted a picture of a child living on the edge, emotionally fragile, easily triggered, and deeply wounded by the actions of the adults around her. Now, as she's faced with the horrifying truth of her stolen infancy, Days of Our Lives fans will see Rachel pushed to her emotional limit. Will this be her breaking point? Or will the love and support of those around her, Sarah, Marlena, Brady, be enough to pull her back from the brink? One thing is certain, Rachel's story is far from over. And in Salem, no truth stays buried forever. Final thoughts, trauma, truth, and the road ahead. As we look ahead, Days of Our Lives continues to prove why it has captivated viewers for generations. With emotionally charged stories, moral complexity, and characters who evolve in unexpected ways, the show is reminding us that even the youngest lives in Salem carry the deepest wounds. Rachel Black's life has been shaped by lies, loss, and longing. And now, as her past finally catches up with her, we'll witness a child grappling with truths that no child should ever have to face. Meanwhile, custody, confrontation, and broken trust. Xander and Sarah head to war over baby Victoria on Days of Our Lives. On Days of Our Lives, love rarely comes without scars, and this week, viewers saw one of the most emotional and explosive confrontations yet between Xander Kyriakis and Sarah Horton. What began as a tense meeting in Horton Square quickly spiraled into a heated war of words, threats, and heartbreak as these two once lovers clashed over the person they now both cherish most, baby Victoria. The scene was raw, personal, and filled with painful truths. For longtime viewers who have watched Xander and Sarah journey through love, loss, betrayal, and redemption, this moment felt like the final unraveling of a bond that once seemed unbreakable. But as Sarah made it clear that there's no going back and Xander vowed to fight for his daughter, the question that lingers is this: how far are they willing to go? And who, in the end, will win custody of Victoria? A tense encounter in Horton Square. The day began like many others in Salem, with lives intersecting in Horton Square. But for Xander and Sarah, it became a battleground. Xander approached Sarah with a firm demand. He wanted to see Victoria. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Sarah, standing tall despite the emotional weight of it all, refused. She told him plainly that she wasn't going to just hand Victoria over. Not without clear boundaries and protection. But Xander wasn't about to walk away quietly. He warned her that if she continued to block his access to their daughter, he would take her to court and demand full custody. "You can scream all you want," Xander said, his voice low but fierce. "But no judge in their right mind is going to give you full custody." From arguments to ultimatums, the conversation quickly turned from tense to explosive. Xander, frustrated and cornered, made a darker threat. "I will use force if I have to." Sarah's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" Xander, realizing how far he'd gone, backpedaled just a bit. "Hopefully, you'll never have to find out." Their words grew louder, their pain sharper. For both, the issue wasn't just custody, it was betrayal. Sarah couldn't forget the lies. Xander couldn't forgive the walls Sarah had built between him and his daughter. As they hurled accusations, Sarah blaming Xander for his violent past, Xander throwing her own lies back at her. It became clear that reconciliation was no longer on the table. This wasn't a lover's spat. This was war. The battle over custody begins. Despite their anger, both Sarah and Xander paused long enough to acknowledge one bitter truth. Neither of them wanted joint custody. Each believed the other was unfit to raise Victoria alone. Each was convinced they were the better parent. But Salem's court system may not care about broken trust and past regrets. If they take this to court, they may have to share custody. And that may be the only thing more painful than losing each other. Sharing the child they both love but cannot agree on. Xander, ever the fighter, made it clear. If it comes to that, then we go to war. Family intervenes as emotions boil over as their shouting escalated. Maggie Horton and Julie Williams appeared, rushing in to calm the storm. Maggie immediately confronted Xander, her tone sharp and maternal. "Stay away from Sarah," she shouted. But Sarah stood her ground. She told Maggie and Julie exactly what was happening. Xander was threatening a custody battle. Julie, ever the hopeful romantic, looked surprised. She had assumed, like many others in Salem, that Sarah and Xander might find their way back to each other after everything they'd been through, especially once Xander had been cleared of wrongdoing. Sarah's answer was cold and final. There's no going back when trust is broken. The weight of her words hung in the air. For Sarah, the love she once had for Xander was no longer enough. The betrayal, whatever form it had taken, was too deep, too raw to forgive. She turned and left, leaving behind more than just the man she once loved. She left behind any illusion that their family could be whole again. Maggie's loyalty tested after Sarah's departure, Maggie was left to confront her son-in-law, if one could still call him that. Xander tried to appeal to her, reminding her that he'd been cleared. He even hinted at a vote from the hospital board, one he hoped Maggie would support. "That's why they voted again," he said, voice softer now. "Maybe I can count on your vote?" But Maggie, with years of wisdom in her eyes, replied simply, "I'll vote with my conscience. Julie will vote for what's best for the hospital." Xander's face fell. The disappointment was obvious. This wasn't just about custody or hospital politics. It was about the life he tried to rebuild and the people who no longer seemed to believe in him. He offered them a weak smile and a quiet goodbye, walking away slowly, shoulders heavy with regret. Julie's confusion and Maggie's doubt after he left. Julie turned to Maggie, clearly confused. "Why won't you forgive him?" Maggie sighed, torn. "Because I don't know if Philip is telling the truth." It was a revealing moment. Despite everything, Maggie isn't sure who to believe. And that uncertainty could shape everything, from her family's future to Victoria's. Where do they go from here? The battle lines have been drawn. On one side stands Sarah, determined, wounded, but steadfast in her desire to protect Victoria. On the other, Xander, a man seeking redemption, trying to prove he's worthy of fatherhood and a second chance. But there are no easy answers. Salem's courts are unpredictable. Emotions are running high. And baby Victoria, too young to understand, is caught in the middle of a storm created by the people who love her most. As Days of Our Lives moves forward, fans can expect more emotional fallout, legal drama, and perhaps even deeper betrayals. Because in Salem, love is never simple and family is never without conflict. Final thoughts, broken trust and battles of the heart. For older viewers who've watched these characters grow and change, the storyline touches on something deeply real. What happens when love dies, but responsibility remains? Xander and Sarah once imagined a life together. They dreamed of raising a child in a home filled with joy. But now, those dreams lie in ruins, replaced by court documents, bitter words, and the painful truth that sometimes love just isn't enough. Can either of them truly win in a battle like this? Or will baby Victoria pay the price for a war she never asked for? Only time and the next episode will tell.